Hello, this is RV Vagabond Jerry, and I'm back in San Antonio, Texas. Just flew in last night from Barcelona, Spain for my cruise trip. And in this video, I want to show you what I did to get my motorhome ready to be left unattended for 16 days while I'm gone on this trip. And where I kept my motorhome was in this airport parking lot. It's a private parking lot right across the road from the airport. There's the airport sign. So first, let me give you the scenario. My flight time was 7:20 a.m. so I need to be at the airport no later than 6 a.m. and I didn't want to be driving around that time of the morning and counting on being on time, getting everything done away from the airport. So I checked into the airport parking lot here the evening before so that I could get my motorhome ready to be left and get all my bags packed and get ready for the trip, so that in the morning when I needed to make that early flight, I would have the least I needed to do to make sure I got on that flight on time. And then on my flight back last night, the flight got in at 11 p.m. But at that time, I had been awake for 21 hours all the way from Barcelona. So at that time, I had no interest in doing anything except going to bed. So I slept in my motorhome the night before the flight, and I slept in my motorhome again the night after the flight when I got back. And I did not ask the parking lot people if it was okay to sleep overnight in their parking lot. I didn't want to ask them because I was afraid they might say no, and that would make everything a bit awkward, and I would have to find someplace else to go for the night, and I just didn't want to fool with that. And also, I'm paying rent here. It's costing me about $19 a day to stay in their parking lot. And both nights, nobody bothered me. So on the outside here, I just want to show you two things I did to get my motorhome ready. This is the propane tank storage compartment. So I turned my valve off right here just as a precaution in case something strange happens, and that way I was sure not to have a leak from my propane. And then secondly, I put on my tire covers to protect the tires from sunlight, which I commonly do if I'm in a place for at least a week. So now I'm going to go inside and tell you the rest of what I did. So next I want to say that one of my big goals here during this trip was to leave in my motorhome running my inverter and my satellite television equipment. And of course I wanted to keep all my satellite equipment running so that I can record all my favorite programs while I'm gone. And that takes somewhat of a significant amount of power. So I wanted to minimize all other power usage to prevent my batteries from going dead. So I turned off my refrigerator, freezer, and I emptied out from there anything that would spoil. I tried to eat everything I could in the refrigerator, freezer that would spoil. There's a few things that, okay, I had to sacrifice, but that's all right. And then of course I left the refrigerator doors open to ventilate that. And the night before I went to the airport parking lot, I had my motorhome hooked up where I was getting electric power, charging my batteries. I got my batteries 100% charged just before I left to go to the airport to give it a good start. And I have 1260 watts of solar on the roof. So I was counting on my solar to keep my batteries charged. So if I had really good solar days, then there's no problem keeping my battery charged during the day, and then it runs down a bit at night, and then it charges up the next day. However, just as a precaution, which turned out to be a good idea, I set my generator so that if my batteries got down too low to where they're close to going dead, then the generator would automatically turn on to charge the batteries up. Not all the way, but at least to a reasonable level. And I have an hour meter on my generator, so I marked it when I left, and when I got back I found that my generator had run about 7 hours for the whole 16 days I was gone. So about maybe every other day my generator had to turn on to boost up the battery banks. And 8 hours is really not much. There's been many times when I had my generator running 8 hours in one day when it's hot and I gotta sleep with my air conditioner on. So that was not bad at all. Then I made sure I had all my windows locked down, and I have 2 vents, and let me show you those. This vent in my kitchen is about 90% waterproof, which is not quite enough. Sometimes when it rains, water has gotten in. So I made sure that was closed. I also have this vent in the bathroom, and it's like at least 99% waterproof. I've never had any trouble with that. So I left that vent open to allow for at least some small level of ventilation for the motorhome. Then there's a few things that I turned off, like my water pump, and various small electrical things like that I plug into my computer, and a few other things. I turned off some of my video equipment. I turned off my Wi-Fi system. I turned off my cell phone booster system, and anything else that I could find that would not hurt being turned off. And I kind of debated whether or not to close all of my blinds all around the motorhome. I decided not to, because if anybody really got curious, I think it'd be better for them to be able to look inside and see that there's nothing terribly valuable in there, rather than be too curious to want to break a window to find out if there is anything really valuable in there. But I really don't know just how vulnerable you are from theft within an airport parking lot that is fenced all around it. So overall, this worked out pretty well for me. I thought about keeping my motorhome at an RV storage facility that would have a little more security, or keeping it possibly in an RV park and plugged in. And then really my electrical worries are over. It's plugged in. Of course, that's a lot more expensive than just paying for a parking space. Plus, if I park it somewhere away from the airport, then I got to get a taxi back and forth, and that can get expensive. And then I really get nervous when I need to be at the airport at a certain time and the taxi's not here. Things can get desperate at that point, so I'd rather not use taxis. I am going to go on some more cruises over the next few years, and I think I'm probably going to do this same thing, where I just simply park my motorhome in a parking lot right at the airport. Saves transportation, and it's just really the most convenient way that I can think of. So I just wanted to let you know how that went. Good day, folks.